Mr. Investor, welcome back to the channel, baby. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite stock, Bionano Genomics. And oh my god, insiders have started purchasing. Yep, Eric Holmlin made a scramble for them shares back in November on the 29th. He's been adding. We will also be looking at his behavior and talking about some of his tweets and statements, as well as some interesting articles that have repeated after 6 months, and analysts that are stating strong buy and there's currently a tremendous upside to Bionano Genomics within 12 months. We're also going to be talking about Illumina, so I took a look at Illumina's third quarter and I wanted to see what kind of machines they've been selling and which areas they've been having success in. Then let's look at revenues throughout the year, we'll look at different quarters and I'll estimate what I think is going to happen in quarter 4. And then let's compare this to chart mills. And please remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. If you guys have been wondering where I've been, I'm finishing off my studies. I've got a couple weeks left and then I'm going to be back here creating content for you guys. If you're able to support the channel, you can click here to join channel memberships. And if you want to send me any one-off donations or tips, there's a link in my description box to PayPal. But if you're unable to, just you hitting like on this video and clicking subscribe is enough for me. Drop me some comments, tell me what you're thinking about this video, show me your analysis, show me what stocks you're currently buying or if you're buying anything else. Now let us begin. Yeehaw! Okay, it's been a tough old rodeo. The genomics market as a whole has taken a hit. We've gone down 38% in the last month, nearly 39%. It's not just us though, even the biggest boys in the game like Illumina have gone down 13.4% in the last month. Illumina is a company that always kills it within the genomics scene. They've got billions of dollars in revenue. However, they're not immune as well. The whole of the genomics market has been hit. This includes the likes of Pacific Biosciences, who's also dropped 22% over the last month. And God no, ARK Invest in Vitae has also dropped over 40% this past month. In fact, during this time, there are companies that are continuing to double down on what they believe in. We've seen ARK Invest buy on the 22nd of November $16 million worth of Invitae. And when they bought on the 22nd of November 2021, Invitae's closing price was $18.35. If you want to use this site, by the way, it's a site called Lucid Tracking and it's in my description box below. And you know, since then, the 22nd of November, it still dropped a further 12.4%. Even growth stock companies like Palantir faced a battering, going down 25% in the last month. A lot of this money has flown into the metaverse as people invest into Sand and Mana and NFTs. And as people invest into virtual reality, AR, online gaming, money has flown out of growth stock. However, during this time, Eric Holmlin, the CEO of Bionano Genomics, decided to double down. In fact, on the 29th of November 2021, he reported purchases of 2,200, 2,675 and 150 shares, totaling over 5,000 shares of Bionano Genomics. And this was at a price just reported under $4. So now this is interesting. He started to purchase now just under $4. He's starting to load up with his own money. And if we scroll down, this is on Fintel, you'll be able to see the transaction history and it will show you that Eric Holmlin purchased the stock. It wasn't an award, he purchased it with his own money here, common stock. I think this totals just around $20,000 worth. The Bingo Cowboys were able to see this straight away. Cisco Trader reporting that Eric has been adding to the retirement account. Long-term hold. So now with the price of Bionano Genomics dropping and the CEO now purchasing some shares, let's go to Twitter to look at this man's behavior. So we're looking at Bionano Genomics CEO Eric Holmlin. He was congratulating a customer saying, outstanding progress, congrats on your Sapphire and first installments of optical genome mapping data. He then said, spectacular expansion of the OGM movement. On a global basis, the installed base of Sapphires is getting bigger and bigger. So he said this on the 20th of November, and on the 29th of November, he then started purchasing. So what do you think just landed? Do you think he knows that we're installing even more Sapphires? Did they just land a big deal? Was it time for him to say, you know what, let me start throwing some money in here? So what do you think about the timing of this tweet and then the timing of his transaction? Do you think there's a major deal on the cards? They keep talking about Illumina. Have they been able to shift many more Sapphires than predicted of their 150 install milestone by end of year? Are we going to see a lot more than 150 install base? So now I just want to show you an article. On the Motley Fool, they were talking about 3 cheap growth stocks. This was written by George Budwell on the 29th of November 2021. He was talking about Bionano Genomics and saying it's a top genome analysis play, stating that he believes that Bionano's market cap could easily swell to over 10 billion by the end of the decade, stating that the system sales is worth about $2.1 billion, and then that reoccurring revenue from the chip consumables and diagnostic services is round about $2.3 billion to $3.6 billion. When he wrote this article just the other day, it was $1.2 billion. He wrote the article on the 29th of November 2021. Over half a year earlier, we saw the Motley Fool also post, could Bionano Genomics be a million maker stock? This was written by Corey Renier, and it was on the 29th of May 2021. Yet again talking about that phallic imagery, saying that Bionano could swell to many times its size. Oh god! Don't worry, he's a grower, not a shower. I remember one of the articles that first came out, Eric Holmlin shared it and he just wrote noise. This was back on June 2nd, 2021. So I just wanted to ask you guys quickly before we looked at Analyst, what do you think his behavior is indicating? Do you think it's a bullish signal for the company? Do you think, obviously him being the CEO, they've landed a major deal? He started to purchase shares now at this kind of price. What do you think is going to happen? Now we go over to tip ranks. Let's look at the analysts and the upside potential. 3 of them are rating Bionano Genomics as a strong buy. They're saying the upside is 221.7%. They're aiming for an average price of $12 over the next 12 months. So right now at this point of time, Bionano Genomics, they state, is offering a 221% upside. And this is with their mid-range prediction of $12 target range, right? But if it hits a $14 target range, then it's much higher than a 221% upside. Even on the low side, if it hits $10 per share, we're still seeing a juicy return. The next thing I wanted to do was look at Illumina. We see all of the statements and remarks surrounding Illumina and saying how they would have a great collaboration and partnership with Bionano Genomics. With the most recent blog and entry by Enlightened Bio blog, they discussed an interview with Sahil Shams, and Sahil said they had a great relationship at Biodiscovery with Illumina. In fact, he mentioned Illumina 8 times within this one interview, and because Bionano Genomics recently acquired Biodiscovery, will also result in a strong glue between Bionano and Illumina. He said that they've had a great and close collaboration with Illumina, and that Bionano Genomics is very complementary to short-read sequencing, next-generation technology, like the one offered by Illumina and other vendors. So he said that this fact alone will open a huge potential market. So I wanted to see where Illumina has been making their money and what they've been doing in the last quarter. So the third quarter 2021, this is a summary of the prepared remarks. Management was talking about, operations and revenue. So where were they most successful? In terms of sequencing consumables, they generated $723 million. They had the record NovaSeq consumables shipment. It grew over 50% year over year. And this was driven by a market that we also are focusing on, oncology. Oncology is a branch of medicine that deals with the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of cancer. They say cancer is a disease of structural variation. To get a complete picture of highly rearranged cancer genomes in heterogeneous samples, you need long-range information at high coverage and analysis tools with high sensitivities and low false positives. So Bionano Genomics is useful in both blood cancers and in solid tumor research. In terms of the instruments as well, the actual shipment of the instruments, what were the most instruments sold and what was really increasing for Illumina? They've stated here that they've sold $180 million worth of sequencing instruments, NovaSeq shipments in the quarter that again more than doubled year over year, driven by oncology testing. And apparently this is more in demand than ever because they've exited the quarter with a record number of instrument backlog that's almost double the backlog entering the year. So now I went into the Q2 2021 results earnings call. I wanted to look into the transcript. Eric Holmlin said that they're going to be targeting, blood cancers first, leukemias, lymphomas, but solid tumors is an expansion opportunity for them. He also spoke about a total number of sequencers out there, and he spoke about the segment, and he said, such as sequencers, it's kind of whole genome sequences or higher throughput sequencers. So anything like Illumina has out there that's NextSeq or higher throughput. He said he feels that Sapphire would be complementary. I've heard different numbers. I've heard 10,000 before. He said that there's about 6,000 of those sequencers out there here. And he said 6,000 Sapphire, $75,000 to $150,000 worth of annual consumables pulling through. That's a couple $2 billion. So he's estimating $2 to $4 billion total addressable market, but that's not including the growing markets that they're looking to access, like solid tumor analysis, any forms of screening, so prenatal, newborn screening, population genetics, these are all market expansion opportunities for them. So when Eric Holmlin said, NextSeq, these kinds of sequencers and above, any high throughput ones, these sequencers are used by Illumina for large whole genome sequencing, human, plant, animal, also small whole genome sequencing like microbes and viruses. And then if we look and we scroll away from benchtop sequencers and we go into production scale sequencers, we go into the NovaSeq, which is one of their highest throughput machines. And this NovaSeq, this high throughput machine, is the one they mentioned that is breaking records. They're saying that they've shipped more than double year over year. These machines have an unprecedented level of throughput. Now, in terms of next generation sequencing, let's look at the overall market. Market and Markets Research, marketmarkets.com, have stated that next generation sequencing market is projected to reach $24.2 billion by 2026, and they state in 2021 it was already $10.3 billion. In terms of Illumina's revenue, if we look at it here, they're gaining year over year 33% in Americas, 47% in Europe, 45% in Asia Pacific, and in Greater China 47%. They're generating more revenue than ever in every geographic location. Now for us, Bionano Genomics, in the first quarter we reached revenues of $3.2 million. In the second quarter we reached $3.86 million. And in our last quarter it was $4.7 million in revenue. So I'm predicting we're going to reach another $1 million on top of that. We're going to have $5.7 million in revenue in the next quarter. And when I added all of this up, we had 3.2, 3.86, 4.7, and $5.7 million in revenue. I was estimating $17.46 million by the year end. I then went over to Chartmills and I thought, you know what, all of this snowballing, people utilizing the machine more than ever, consuming these flow cells, we're going to see that kind of figure. And Chartmills predicted something very similar, even more bullish than mine, just a bit over $17,470,560. Now, if we were to land a major deal and they started to utilize the Sapphire more than ever, there's lots of different research going on. Year by year, we'll see the snowballing effect. We're going to start to see more consumables being used and we'll start to generate some serious revenues. The management aren't shying away. In fact, they're sharing more articles than ever. They're staying active. And we have Rich Shippey, who is the Chief Business Officer of Bionano Genomics, sharing this article. Within the article, it was talking about rare disease diagnosis and the market. It's already more than $160 billion market and is expected to grow to almost $550 billion over the next 10 years. So we're focusing on cancer and rare disease right now. This article spoke about solving, the diagnostic odyssey. There's this long journey for patients and families where they're looking, going from doctor to doctor, years and years, they're looking to find the cause of their disease and condition. And then they find out there's no treatment available. Now we have more trials than ever. We have 560 drugs for rare diseases in clinical trials. There was also spinal muscular atrophy that was being explored. And now, through gene therapy, they're able to resolve this. In fact, the injection costs $2 million per patient, but it cures you from getting SMA. In 2021, it said here that a baby in Essex was given a £1.7 million drug for spinal muscular atrophy. And through this gene therapy, the baby will no longer have spinal muscular atrophy as an adult. And the NHS, the National Health Service in England, paid for that. It's just a single dose, curing that genetic disease. This article was talking about everything from, long read sequencing, talking about robust databases, artificial intelligence, analytical programs, spatial genomics, and talking about this opportunity within rare disease diagnosis and treatment for companies like Illumina, Bionano Genomics, and a broad range of other companies. After reading through to finish up, you can see here that Bionano is also playing a part. It uses Sapphire optical genome mapping system to uncover more variants. Sequencing, this is a quote from Eric Homeland, sequencing only picks up a small fraction of pathogenic findings. As many as 70% of patients are not getting answers, and we are focused on finding those for them. It then spoke about the recent studies that came out for FSHD, and they used Bionano Genomics optical mapping to diagnose FSHD. This led on from, Bionano Genomics, Joseph Butler, the UK sales manager, talking about rare disease and the 100,000 genomes pilot project. Within this study, they were helping diagnose, families to see if they had a rare genetic disease. Whole genome sequencing made an extra diagnosis of 25% of the cases, but there were still 1,309 families that did not have a diagnosis. Maybe it's time to look at what Sapphire can add. Within the study, they were talking about long-read sequencing and structural variations, and obviously structural variants have nowhere to hide with Bionano Genomics, and within the study, it seems like they thought the structural variations were key and very important to disease. It's very interesting to see us put up there with Illumina again, especially when they're talking about rare disease, they're talking about newborn screening in this article, and they're talking about people who are on this kind of diagnostic journey and cannot find, a diagnosis or a cure. The genomics industry is going to continue to grow for many years to come, and we're going to see some companies that are going to make tremendous improvements in the world as well as make huge profits. So for me, I'm not even looking for this $12 upside potential. I'm looking at multiples, big multiple returns. I'm going to continue to buy Bionano Genomics on a weekly basis when I can, especially at this kind of price. If within, the next 12 months, analysts are thinking it's going to reach $12, what will Bionano Genomics look like if they have 6,000 to 10,000 Sapphires sold? They're getting this reoccurring, income coming from consumable chips, and they're generating hundreds of millions and maybe one day billions of dollars in revenue. What is this company going to look like in terms of stock price? How are they going to reward shareholders like me who've been there since, the early stages? If I stick to the plan, could Bionano Genomics make me a millionaire? Could it reward me as a shareholder? And am I prepared to keep accumulating over the years and watch this company and business develop? For me, the answer is yes. I've made my analysis, I've done my due diligence, I have complete conviction in the company, and unless something fundamentally changes about the company, as long as I'm seeing the progress and the growth, and I can see the picture of seeing how these guys are creating such a tremendous company, adding incredible executive talent, bringing people over from companies like Illumina, Dexcom, PerkinElmer, you know, I can visualize, I can see the bigger picture, and I can see a real opportunity here in the market, especially since Bionano Genomics is one of the optical genome mapping global leaders. I'm excited for this company, Bionano Genomics, and the lower it goes, the heavier I'm going to get and the more aggressive I'm going to get in accumulating shares, especially at this price. If in years to come we can generate multiple $billion in revenue and this company could swell to almost 10 times its market cap, I predict it can probably hit a lot more than that. I'm going to continue buying BNGO alongside Palantir and Nano Dimension for many years to come, unless something fundamentally changes. But right now, all I can see is growth, good news, and the stock price continues to drop. I'll keep gobbling up them shares. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Drop me some comments below. I've got a couple weeks left of my studies, and then I'm going to be back on here researching and finding juicy gems of information for you guys. But please remember, none of this is financial advice. It's for entertainment only. Thank you to everybody who's dropped me donations before. I have bought books, I have bought a coffee, so thank you very much. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can click join on channel memberships just above my head, right there. Or if you want to drop me a donation, you can click the PayPal link in my description box below. I thank you guys so much for your love and support. 2 weeks left for my studies to Capito, and I'm back here, baby. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Mr. Investor Lot, over and out, baby.